Happy Friday morning, everybody. Welcome in to another edition of Morning Jox. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you as we close out another week and get you headed into your weekend, hopefully the right way, as I know a lot of you dropping your kids off their first week back at school. I'm sure they're excited to get a taste of summer vacation back for the next couple of days. But it also means we are, of course, even closer to the start of the college football season. So, hey, it's Friday. It feels good outside. It's the month of August. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that until 3 weeks from now when it's your Friday night and you get to watch Auburn and Baylor play. And then it really feels like the beginning of fall. So we are excited that you are here with us this morning, and we appreciate Damian, a champion in our midst, as he avenged himself yesterday on the campus of Samford with their punt, pass, and kick competition. It doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about how many people maybe were in contention. Somebody that I guess we would say your arch nemesis who wasn't there this year. But all that matters is that Damian is in our midst this morning, and he comes in here as a champion.
That is an absolute fact. And yeah, down in Samford, I ended up, like you said, I avenged my loss from last year. Now, was it against the same opponents?
Doesn't matter.
Field, I just play who's on my schedule. That's all I can do.
That's all you can do.
So I control what I can control. But yes, it felt good yesterday. Even Coach Hatcher, he realizes, like, okay, you probably at one point in your life was an athlete. You were not a specialist. We can tell. The kicking portion of things, not the most ideal.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't my strong suit, but I had a whole year to prepare, and I went out there and won it on my final kick. And yeah, so I am the reigning champion. And again, shout out to Samford, which again I'll get a chance to call their games this year again for ESPN Plus. And I was like, Coach, as long as we don't ever talk about this again, we'll have a great season.
Well, it's just good to know that if something ever happens to the kicker, who's Jimbo Fisher's child, correct?
He's
one of their kickers.
Yeah, he's one of them.
Well, it's good to know that you're there
Eligibility's up.
if needed.
Eligibility's up. Now, I'm no Brandon Whedon.
Well, you got a jersey now though, so you can just run out there in that, and it'll be fine.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true. But I highly doubt, in case of emergency, they're probably not gonna give me a call. Not even a text message. It's all good. I'll just sit in the booth and do my job. I prefer the air conditioning when I'm there at the games.
I'm sure you do. So I just wanted to give you a quick shout out this morning.
I appreciate it, Conrad.
Yeah,
I really do.
We're just glad that you were able to redeem yourself, and
absolutely,
and all of us, really. You had an entire state on your back, really, and you made us proud. So
appreciate
wanted to give Damian props for his championship that he brought home for himself and for all of you listening yesterday from the campus there of Samford. But we are, as I mentioned, 3 weeks away from the kickoff of the SEC football season for a lot of us, with Auburn taking on Baylor there 3 weeks from today. 3 weeks from tomorrow, you'll have Alabama and Florida State. And in 15 days, you'll have week 0. So we are getting ever so close to the start of college football season. And today you're going to have the first scrimmage of fall camp for the Auburn Tigers. Tomorrow, the first scrimmage for Alabama. And that's kind of where we want to go with things today is, what do you want to see? What do you want to hear, I guess would be a better way to say, because we're not going to be able to see it. But what do you want to hear coming out of these first scrimmages for Auburn and Alabama? So you can text in 205-834-9450, and we will kind of get your reaction later on into the show as we'll share some of the things we want to hear, and we hopefully will get some reaction from y'all on what y'all are hoping to hear from either Auburn or Alabama. And we have some practice notes to share as well. But we do have some other yesterday was a fun day for college football, just general news outside of fall camp, and a lot of it involving quarterbacks. So we've got multiple places that we can go here, Damian, but we'll start off with some quarterbacks in SEC country. And this was a clip that was certainly making the rounds yesterday. I'm sure some of you, if you were listening to Paul yesterday afternoon, you heard this guest. And I'll just say this, right? We talked about the Any Given Saturday, the new Netflix documentary the other day. And if you've watched that, and particularly the third episode, that was heavily focused on Vanderbilt, and you got a lot of Diego Pavia and Clark Lee in there. This isn't necessarily going to surprise you, but Diego Pavia was on with Paul Feinbaum yesterday, and he's confident. I will just say that. So we'll let you hear what he had to say. But yeah, he's a confident guy. So there you go, Diego Pavia. Again, never short of confidence on Paul Feinbaum's show yesterday, saying that the standard for Vanderbilt is winning a national championship. So,
Okay.
You
can respect it.
Oh,
but you laughed at Clark Lee a couple years ago when he said he wanted to build Vanderbilt into one of the best programs in college football. He's doing that, and he has a quarterback that believes they can win a national championship. Now, whether that's true, that's between Diego and the rest of Vanderbilt. But you need to stop lying when you talk about you have the best receiver or best offensive lineman and best, I get it. Like, you want to have your teammates back, but, you got to be able to read the room. Got to be able to read the room.
I just want to apologize. If Vanderbilt doesn't beat Alabama last year, this doesn't happen. So I want to apologize to you know what, I'll stand up. I'll take it. If I'm Crimson Conrad, I apologize for the University of Alabama football program losing to Vanderbilt last year so that we have to endure this for the entire offseason. Because I like the guy. I really do. Like, his story is very impressive. Like, what he has managed to do from where he started out to where he now is in his career. And the cherry on top of that whole story was that win over Alabama last year. And he really is impressive. Is he a little too confident for my liking sometimes? But not in like, he doesn't even necessarily rub me even as like a Baker Mayfield, like, and kind of the way that he carried himself, because like, I believe that he believes what he's saying.
True.
Now, I think, like you said, is the best wide receiver in the country, there in Nashville, Tennessee playing college football? No, he's in Columbus, Ohio. Is the best defensive lineman in the country playing there in Nashville, Tennessee? No, they're not. Like, they've gotten a lot better. Now, if he had said, I think the best tight end in the country plays here at Vanderbilt,
work the conversation.
We could have a conversation about that.
Conversation.
That's the only position we could have that conversation about, though. But I mean, in all seriousness, though, I like the confidence. That's the kind of guy you want on your team. But I also don't know if he really. People are going to want to smoke Vanderbilt this year.
Right.
And I think that's where maybe you're starting to. Maybe you're putting a little too much on your plate when you don't have to be doing it.
That's the key. You don't have to. Like, Diego Pavia, nobody is upset about your confidence. Nobody. We respect it. It's cool. But he takes it to another level. Like, to the point it's like delusional. Like, it's really delusional thinking. But also, to play the quarterback position, you got to be a little bit psychotic anyway. Like, you got to feel like you can put the ball anywhere on the field. You can lead the team to victory just by your play. But I think that for Vanderbilt, it's kind of unique that they've reached this point where they allow this. Like to me, and I got a chance to see the episode. I got a chance to see the episode of for Vanderbilt and Any Given Saturday, and it's kind of one, I guess, but the peek behind the curtain on Vanderbilt is it's a little bit different because I just assumed for so many years, not to say like they're bad, like they've been bad, like they've been absolutely bad. They just haven't had talent. But it gets to a point where it's like, hey, man, can we clean it up a little bit? Like, he's wanting to be the villain so bad, but you're at a school where it's like nobody's really talking about you. Nobody's
Yeah.
making you a threat. But now that you're putting yourself on the radar, it's like you said, I think teams are going to try to embarrass Vanderbilt. Not just beat them, like absolutely embarrass them. And again, with the win against Alabama, that was great. You also lost to Georgia State. So, like, the roller coaster of a season that you're already about to get yourself into, you're just adding more fuel to the fire. So when Vanderbilt does lose, everybody's going to be looking at you like, so this is the product on the field that we were waiting on?
Yeah, and it's a little different, and I think that Diego Pavia has more of a reason to maybe be confident and talk a little smack than like Castellanos, for example, at Florida State. But again, it's just a situation of like, why are you doing this to yourself? Like it, no, like you said, no one has a problem with you being confident and you being who you are, but you're going out of your way to bring unwanted attention and people like again, people are gonna like, all right, you want the smoke? Okay. Like, let's see what you got. And who knows? Maybe Vanderbilt wins a national championship this year and we're all wrong. But I feel very confident in saying that Vanderbilt will never win a football national championship in my lifetime. I'm sorry if 40 years from now that happens, I will eat crow when I'm 70. But yeah, I just don't see, I just don't see that happening. But hey, he's a confident guy. And Paul obviously having some fun with him yesterday. So that was Diego Pavia making the rounds yesterday on Paul Feinbaum show, saying that the standard for Vanderbilt is to win the national championship. But we did have some other quarterbacks making news. Could we have multiple years of Arch Manning in college ahead of us? And Jalen Milroe made his NFL debut last night in the preseason as the Seahawks took on the Raiders. We'll tell you how he fared next on Morning Jox. 6:17 here on your Friday morning. Appreciate you joining us on Morning Jocks. Conrad and Damian here with you till 7 o'clock when we hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Started off with some of our thoughts on Diego Pavia, his viral comments on the Paul Feinbaum show yesterday about Vanderbilt's standard now being to win a national championship. Which we have some reaction coming in on that on the text line. We do also, we're going to get to it a little bit later, but we do want to ask y'all, Auburn's first scrimmage is today, Alabama's is tomorrow, but what are you wanting to hear out of both Auburn and Tuscaloosa as far as those scrimmages go? What are some question marks you still have or things that you hope are maybe a little bit ahead of schedule for those two teams once their scrimmages are in the book this weekend? So you can text in there, 205-834-9450. But last night, we did have some NFL preseason action, and part of that was the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, which means it was the NFL debut for one Jalen Milroe, who was, of course, the Alabama quarterback the last 2 years. He was a third-round pick of the Seahawks in this year's NFL draft. And you had Drew Lock, who is the backup. So remember, Sam Darnold is now the starting quarterback in Seattle because they let Geno Smith go to the Raiders along with Pete Carroll. So if you forgot about that, that's the your update there. But Drew Lock, the backup in Seattle. Jalen Milroe, the third-string guy. So he got to play the second half last night. And he had a couple of nice plays. He had the big play for Jalen Milroe last night, 27 yards rushing on like a little zone read they had there within their own 5-yard line. He busted it out. Got to the right sideline and took it 27 yards down the field. So he had 3 carries for 38 yards, including that 27-yard run last night. Passing-wise, he was 6 of 10 for 61 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So, I mean, all things considered, fairly solid, right? He led the Seahawks on a touchdown drive. I think that was his third drive, maybe out there, second or third drive on the field there. So, not bad. Showed a little bit of his potential, but the game ended in a 23-23 tie. So, yeah, it's the preseason, so they're not going to go and enforce anything there. But the Seahawks did block Daniel Carlson's kick there at the very end to secure the tie. But Daniel Carlson did have I think it was a 56-yard kick at one point. 56-yarder. So that was quite impressive. But Jalen Milroe, all things considered, not a bad debut for him. Not going to blow anybody away. But you got to see a little bit of what NFL teams saw in him, which is obviously his athleticism. You also had the Eagles and 49ers, Eagles and Bengals that were doing battle last night. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase looked incredible. They played the first 2 drives. Joe Burrow goes 9 of 10 for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase 4 catches, 77 yards and a tutty. So this is the exact same Bengals team as last year, where Joe Burrow is going to be an MVP candidate, Jamar Chase is going to be an MVP candidate, and the Bengals starting defense was playing last night, and Tanner McKee made them look foolish. Tanner McKee. I don't even remember, was he at Stanford? I don't even remember where that guy came from.
I think so.
But he goes 20 of 25, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns yesterday for the Eagles. He was very, very good, and the defensive woes for the Bengals continue, but if you are Trey Hendrickson, you probably feel pretty good right now because you got some leverage in those negotiations. So that's what was going on there. And then in the final game that we'll get to, you had the Ravens taking down the Colts 24-16. And all you need to know is, I'm not trying to be ugly when I say this, Anthony Richardson is not an NFL quarterback. And it's unfortunate he's had to deal with injuries to this point in his career, and he got injured again last night. I have never seen so many college NFL people on Twitter take a play from a preseason game and break it down the way that you saw last night on the sack that Anthony Richardson took, where he completely missed a protection, and you have a running back just running white into the flat, and you have a defensive end from the Ravens nobody touched him, just right at Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson didn't see him, didn't hit the guy in the flat, and it's just it. Yeah. So, anyways, but when you have a dozen NFL analysts on social media breaking it down, saying this is something you learn your first day in the NFL, and we're 3 years into this guy's career, and he's still having these problems. Not a great sign for the Colts and for Anthony Richardson, but Daniel Jones did look okay.
Yeah, and
So
probably is one of Jox. And also on the Anthony Richardson hit, one to get hit that hard and to dislocate your pinky.
Yeah, he's lucky it wasn't a shoulder or something like
right.
that.
When,
yeah,
like initially, I'm like, ooh boy, that's like a rib. Like, because I mean, it is straight helmet to the chest.
Oh, yeah.
Like it is. I mean, it was the cleanest.
It was
the cleanest
textbook.
fits. Yes, you could teach that. Great teaching tape. And the fact that he only came up with a dislocated pinky. And again, hate that for him. But to your point, I think it's the book is out. It is.
Yep.
And we had this conversation yesterday, just kind of off air about Anthony Richardson. It was, man, how if you are in the Colts organization, you have to be like absolutely beside yourself of the fact that it was either you were either going to look like the smartest person in the room when you drafted him that early, or you're going to look like the dumbest person in the room if you drafted him that early. It's looking very pessimistic right now that he is ready to be an NFL quarterback. And again, it's no fault on his own. It's kind of
we were all saying it coming out of college. Like, you haven't seen enough of him in college to make a top 5 pick, worth the investment.
Nah. And again, I've had to suffer with Will Levis for the past 2 years. So I'm not going to say I feel any sympathy for him, but also the Colts, this is what you asked for. Like, this is exactly what you're getting, exactly what you drafted. And again, makes absolutely phenomenal plays, but that's one every 4 to 5 games. Like, he'll have one throw, you're like, oh my gosh, he's got the talent, he's got the juice. And when you don't slide the protection a certain way, and there is a free. Again, it's different if you were in the SEC. Actually, it ain't that different if you were in the SEC because they hit pretty hard in the SEC too. But when a guy that has a mortgage and like fighting for a job is coming off the edge, you might want to find somebody to at least chip them or something. But when you have a defensive end that has a clear cut path to your chest, yeah, man, it's get ready to learn Boise Stallions, buddy.
Yeah, it's it is unfortunate, and we look. You understand why they took a risk on him, right? Athleticism off the charts, and all that. But yeah, it's clear the game just may be a little too fast for him, unfortunately. And we'll see. Hopefully we're wrong. Hopefully he's able to turn his career around and pick things up. And who knows? Maybe he just needs a little more time to learn and get a grasp of the offense before he's ready to be the guy. But yeah, certainly not good return on investment so far for the Colts as Anthony Richardson gets hurt again and continues to make some pretty rookie mistakes now 3 years into his NFL career. So that's where you had some headlines being made in the NFL preseason. But I thought this was interesting. I feel like this kind of flew under the radar yesterday. If you saw this, Damian. So Archie Manning, obviously Arch's grandfather, Peyton and Eli's dad, He did an interview with Texas Monthly, and they were asking him about the 2026 NFL draft, where if you've been paying attention, a lot of people projecting that Arch could be the number 1 overall pick, or at least a first-round pick at the quarterback position. And so Archie was asked about the NFL draft yesterday in an interview, and his response was, quote, "Arch isn't going to do that. He'll be at Texas in 2026. So, okay. So I guess Texas is looking at maybe it's not totally championship or buzz this year if you know that Arch Manning is potentially going to come back for a 4th year, which, okay, like, and that's very interesting. Now, I do wonder this, and I have to imagine, right? Let's say he goes out there, wins the Heisman, and Texas wins the national. Like, everything that has been hyped up about him, let's say that all comes true. You're not coming back to college for another year.
No.
And you'd be stupid to.
No.
Again, like, why would you? If you were told, hey, you're going to be a 2nd-round pick, maybe a late 1st-round pick, okay, come back for another year. Hey, you're going to be the number 1 overall pick. Well, I don't know. Can I come back and increase my draft? No, you can't. Like, that's as good as it gets. So it just, I don't know why you would make that decision, but I guess it's something they've talked about. And hey, if you're not, I guess, essentially, if you're not going to be told you're a top 10 pick, maybe it's a good idea to come back. But I don't know. Maybe he just really loves the college experience, and if they don't win a national championship, he wants to come back and do have one of those moments of, hey, I'm coming back.
Right.
And okay, that'd be cool.
I'm with you. And also, I mean, no disrespect to, his granddad, but it's not really your decision. It's like Arch may tell you something in July, August, And we look in January after Texas hoists, college football national championship, and he's like, Texas may be back, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take my talents to the NFL.
Yeah, so I just I thought that was interesting though. That it's like, okay, I'm glad to know you already have this figured out, and there's obviously no variables that could change this decision a year from now, but or 6 months from now. But we will wait and see what happens with Arch Manning. Of course, he's got to have a good season this year for them to probably even entertain the idea of the NFL draft. So we will have to wait and see. But want to get some of your reaction. We have some notes from Auburn fall camp yesterday, and we want to get to our main question of the day, which of course is, what do you want to hear from the first scrimmages of fall camp for Alabama and Auburn? Auburn having their first scrimmage today, Auburn's first scrimmage today, Alabama's first scrimmage tomorrow. So what are you hoping to hear? We'll get to some of our thoughts. What are we hoping to hear as well? We see some of you on the text line, some of you on the phone line as well. So hang on. We'll get to you as we break down some fall camp notes and get into what we're hoping to learn from the first scrimmages this weekend. That's all coming up here on Morning Jox. Well, Auburn will be on the practice field today, or actually inside of Jordan-Hare. They're going to be scrimmaging for the first time this fall. Alabama going to be doing the same tomorrow. So what are we hoping to hear from those first scrimmages of fall camp for both Alabama and Auburn? We want to get to that here in just a minute with some of our questions, but we do have some practice notes as well. Appreciate you joining us here on Morning Jox, Conrad and Damian here with you, keeping you up to date on everything as we approach the start of the college football season. But how about we go to the phones real quick, and let's hear from Don, as he's been waiting by patiently. And Don, I want to know, what are you hoping to hear from the first scrimmage today when Auburn hits the field?
Well, number one on a scrimmage, and all of us know this, you're probably going to hear a lot about on the first scrimmage about the defense and everything. Yes. But I want to hear about Jackson Arnold, like Freeze was saying the other day, and Pat was talking about the report about him holding on to the ball too long. I want to hear about him having good decision making, and also too on the running plays and everything. They say he's been a little bit too greedy and holding on to the ball. So I want to hear a good report about Jackson Arnold.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are hoping to see. I will say, from what I have heard and what I collected, I know a lot of people said yesterday was the best. Yesterday's practice was probably the best Jackson Arnold's looked since he came to Auburn. So that's certainly a good sign.
Yeah, and a matter of fact, on yesterday's practice, I hope you guys saw the catch that Cam Coleman made. And that was actually Deuce Knight throwing that ball. But
yeah.
It kind of, you remember pro throw from Alabama, right, Conrad?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, it almost looked like it was in the corner of the end zone. And it was actually a Deuce Knight pass. It was kind of a perfectly placed pass, but he went up over our best defender,
Crawford.
Reading Cole Pinkston's articles. They're doing a lot of one-on-ones, like just for example, on the offensive line, defensive line, one-on-one. It's the best against the best, like left tackle Chaplin up against Falk, and it's and they say that they're about even on that. So that's a good sign, and I'm liking what I'm hearing about our defensive line. I think our defensive line is going to be better than what people think.
Yeah, it certainly seems like those two groups are shaping up pretty well. I heard the front seven had a really good day yesterday with them just kind of rotating a lot of the younger guys in, and a lot of them very, very, very athletic. So it seems like that. I know a lot of people had questions about linebacker and defensive line, but those seem to be shaping up pretty well for you guys, Don.
Okay, well, real quickly before I go, Conrad, Damon, congratulations on your victory yesterday, man. Good job.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome, buddy. All right, guys, y'all have a good weekend, and hoping I'm hearing good reports later today. Oh, by the way, guys, 6 o'clock tonight, I think we're going to get our best commitment yet in the Matthews, the wide receiver from Mississippi. Yep. So keeping my fingers crossed on that one.
All righty, Don. Have a good weekend, man. Appreciate you chiming in. Yeah, Jason Matthews going to announce his commitment later on this afternoon, so I know a lot of Auburn fans will be monitoring that one closely. But so a few notes from Auburn practice yesterday. Alabama, they were just taking pictures yesterday. So you got to see their lovely team photo for the upcoming season, but they weren't on the practice field. But Auburn, as I just mentioned, a lot of people saying Jackson Arnold potentially had his best practice, whether you're talking spring, fall, summer workouts, whatever, the best that Jackson Arnold's looked was probably yesterday, which is certainly a good sign heading into scrimmage number 1. We continue to hear that the wide receivers and defensive backs, that kind of back and forth they have at practice. You heard Don kind of mention one of those plays. But, spent a lot of time yesterday running red zone drills where, there's no running threat, there's no running game. It's just straight up wide receiver versus DB, 1v1, and the quarterback's making throws. And apparently that continues to be very, very competitive. Cam Coleman did have the big highlight catch yesterday, but also hearing some very good things about Perry Thompson. And so we will hear from him in just a second. But hearing good things that Perry Thompson, we heard from Hugh Freeze the other day. He said that Perry was one of the most improved players he's seen, particularly in his route running from the end of last season to now. But, that's a guy that, he was a big-time commitment for Auburn, another 5-star receiver that got a little overshadowed by Cam Coleman and now even maybe Malcolm Simmons a little bit, with just what their roles were last year. But let's listen to Perry Thompson, because he spoke with the media yesterday. This is the first time I think I've ever heard him speaking with the media since heading to Auburn. But this is Perry Thompson talking about how he wants this year to be a little bit of a breakout season for him and how he's continued to develop. So there you go. Perry Thompson, much more comfortable in the offense heading into his sophomore season. And that's a guy that, I mean, certainly when you look at, what you have at the wide receiver position, when that guy is, let's say maybe 4th or 5th in the pecking order, pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good spot to be in.
Yeah. And also, I mean, like, here's the thing. Perry Thompson, when you look at him, you can tell, okay, you don't chisel too many receivers that look like that.
No, and I think I saw where he ran 22 miles an hour at practice the other day, and with that size.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too. I mean, that's Auburn right now, with all the talent they have at the receiver room, I know Hugh is really wanting that group to kind of lead the charge because of just how immensely talented that they are. But also, again, like it's good to hear these things as far as you've heard, Jackson Arnold had a great day. And also when your receivers are making plays for you, it makes it a little bit easier as the quarterback of, I just need to distribute the ball, get it somewhere around them, and they'll handle the rest. Yeah. Like that's at this point, that's Jackson Arnold's best friend, because again, the talent that you have, and the thing about receivers is only one ball. Like it's only one ball, and only one guy's going to be able to catch it. But when you have as many weapons as they have on the outside, and you think of like just formations where you can see these guys in certain areas of the football field, defenses are going to have to make decisions. Like they're going to either have to man them up or they're going to have to disguise a lot in zone. But I do think the talent that you see in the receiver room, and to hear a guy like Perry Thompson taking that next step, yeah, I think you have to feel confident about at least that room if you're an Auburn fan, of like, hey, we just need somebody to give them the ball and let them do the rest.
Yeah, and I think you're happy to hear, because I don't think anybody doubts the talent that's in that wide receiver room, and once the season starts, that's going to be on full display. But some reports, people that are there covering the team and getting to look at, I know they got a good look at practice yesterday, but some people saying that the best position group overall for Auburn this camp has maybe been the defensive backs. Going up against the wide receivers, which, again, we know how good those guys are, so that has to bode well for what you're going to get on the defensive side of the ball. And continuing to hear that Jay Crawford has been essentially the best player, maybe the best player on the field, either side of the ball, throughout all of fall camp, and that continued yesterday as he's been an absolute menace there in the defensive backfield. And again, that's a young guy that last year showed a lot of potential and had some flashes, but now looks like, I mean, he's going into his sophomore year, a true sophomore, and he's looking like, I mean, we're talking about a team that has Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton. I mean, Keldrick Falk's going to be a first-round pick next April, and we're here talking about how this kid, Jay Crawford, might be the best player on the team in terms of what they've seen from him this fall camp. So really, really good news there out of Auburn practice yesterday, their first scrimmage today. And of course, we'll have all of those updates for you on Monday of what's going on there. But you also have Alabama. They're going to be scrimmaging tomorrow. And so what do we want to hear from these programs, Damian? I think for me with Auburn, I do agree with what Don said. You want to see Jackson Arnold going in some live action situations. How is that going to look? Because again, Hugh Freeze did say he's been a little greedy with some of the RPO reads. He's been holding onto the ball sometimes at practice, but had his best day yesterday. So does that carry over to the scrimmage? And I think similarly for Alabama, right? You want to see how things go with the quarterback room, but I think also just a lot of it for me is with both Alabama and Auburn is a lot of his defensive line, right? Like I want to see how are they building up in the trenches, because I think you would say that was maybe a little bit of a concern for Auburn going into fall camp, and a little bit of a concern for Alabama in fall camp, just in terms of you need some younger guys to step up. And we've heard that they've been doing that in practice, but is that going to carry over to the scrimmage? So those are some things that I'm certainly interested to hear over the next 2 days.
Yeah, for Alabama, is there any separation in the quarterback room? Because I do think like the reps are going to be divvied out. I think Ty Simpson's probably going to run with
Oh,
the
heaven forbid
ones.
we hear that, Keelan Russell was the best quarterback in the scrimmage tomorrow or something. It's going to.
Yeah, it's gonna throw everything
Uh-huh.
for a loop, but just some sort of separation of a true pecking order from the quarterback position. And again, it's scrimmage number one, but you want to see what it looks like when the bullets are flying. And I think for Auburn, I'm interested to hear about the secondary with the talent that that you're going across with the receiver room. Are they going to be able to make plays? Can they disrupt a little bit? I mean, not to say that Jackson Arnold will go out there and throw a pick or two, but just do they at least make it difficult? Do they make it difficult? Do they have some guys that, hey, like, okay, they're a little bit better? Like, do you hear, like Champ Anthony start to, make some waves of saying, oh, yeah, he was guarding Cam Coleman exceptionally well. Just kind of what's the pecking order and what does it really look like in that secondary because of the talent that you're going against in the receiver room, and just want to see if they have a pretty good day in their scrimmage.
And good to remember that typically in these first scrimmages, the defense typically a little ahead of the offense. That's nothing, unusual. So if you hear of, Ty Simpson's, throws 3 interceptions, or Jackson Arnold has, 3 strip sacks, and he can't hold on to the football. Okay, maybe those are a little concerning, but at the same time, like, you're going to expect in a lot of these cases the defense to just be a little bit ahead this early still into fall camp. So we will continue to wait and see what we get from both Auburn and Alabama as they hit the scrimmages for the first time this fall. And we want to hear from you as well, 205-834-9450. What do you want to hear from both Auburn and Alabama over the weekend? We'll get your reaction next. Some of you waiting on the text line, the phone line, all that good stuff. We'll get to you next here on Jox. 6:48. Welcome back into Morning Jox here on your Friday morning. Appreciate you always making us a part of your morning here on Jox. Conrad and Damien with you until 7 o'clock. And as we get closer and closer to the college football season, we are very, very excited because 3 weeks from now, you'll have Auburn and Baylor. 3 weeks and 1 day from now, you will have Alabama and Auburn. But 13 days from now, Damien, you'll have an opportunity to kick it with us at the Jox Kickoff Party.
Yes, sir. Celebrate the kickoff to college football with us at the Bill Smith Buick GMC Jox Kickoff Party at Regents Field on Thursday, August 21st. And the only way to go is by winning tickets. To win a pair of tickets for you and a guest, text the keyword Barons and your full name to 205-834-9450. Again, the keyword Barons and your full name to 205-834-9450. Winners are drawn and notified daily. For more information, visit joxfm.com.
All right, let's go to the phone lines quickly. Steven wants to chime in from Dallas. Wants to talk a little Texas this morning. How we doing, Steven?
Good. I really am glad to be back and listening to you guys. So that's always good. No, I wanted to just, with the Damien, man. I mean, come on, man. With a couple things. A&M, our expectations are 9-3, 2 out of 3 years, and a 10+ win season, 1 out of every 3 years. You're the number one thing in Forbes, they say, in revenue, right? I don't think we expect a national championship every year. Maybe we should. But those are the realistic expectations, man. You got us and UT Berkeley down 90 miles west of us confused. They're God's gift to football, remember, guys? We're lucky to have them in the conference. And boy, we just man, with Archie saying, oh, his son's going to stay forever in Texas. Come on, guys. He's trying to temper expectations. If he has a good year, not a great year, and we just believe that he's going to be there 2 years because Arch said so. I mean, it really is amazing. I know I'm limited off. It's almost time for work. Sark still drinks. Gig 'em.
Okay. Thank you, Steven. Appreciate the
That was fun.
Did not see that. I did not see that last. I mean, you had me and it was like, okay, and then you really had to throw that one in there at the end. Thank you, Steven. Appreciate you calling anytime. Call in anytime. Are we going to make fun of the A&M? Yes, but you can call in anytime.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, please do. That was awesome there. So now we'll go to the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450, where a lot of you chiming in on the scrimmages this weekend and just kind of the general college football topics we've had today. Let's see. This texter chimes in and says, my Browns play tonight. Can't wait to be disappointed every week. Yeah, being a Cleveland Browns fan, man, I think there's a few fan bases in all of professional sports where you should be given a mulligan. Like if you're an adult, you're like, man, I've been a Browns fan for 20 years. Like we should all just universally say, hey, man, it's cool. Like pick another team. Like you can start over. And the Browns would be one of those teams. But hey, Shadur, he's going to start tonight, so you can potentially maybe he'll be the future of the franchise. We'll see. Let's see. David in Pell City chimes in. He says, guys, I kept hearing from Auburn to just wait for August 1st. I'm searching and I don't see anything. Has their recruiting position changed? That's a great question, David. Hugh Freeze addressed that the other day, and he essentially said the same thing that he said a month ago or 2 months ago, whenever it was that they had made that declaration that essentially some people are not doing this the right way. And yeah, I'm with you. He basically said, hey, well, you can't figure this out until the kids actually get on campus, and that's when, these deals become official and you really start to see if they're being overpromised. But again, I will eat crow if I need to, but it's still just the further we get along in this feels like it was a big miss on Auburn's part with their recruiting strategy. It feels like they maybe overthought things a little bit. I can respect you for wanting to do things the right way, but clearly, I mean, you're 70th in recruiting still, so it is what it is. Another text coming in says, we have to remember with Auburn that this is practice against one another. We need to see it on the field this year against other competition. I don't disagree. I think that's where a lot of Auburn fans are. Still need to see it. And that Baylor game is going to – first impressions are important, and I think that Baylor game is going to be important for a lot of people. Jason chimes in and says, did I just hear a little beef between Damien and Don? I heard the debate the other day, but have I missed something since then?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I won. Why would there be beef?
So we have Bennett from Beham, our buddy Bennett.
How old is he now? Like, he's probably
probably like 16 now,
yeah,
something
16,
like that.
17.
I don't know. But he chimes in. This is a good text. Bennett from Birmingham, he chimes in. He says, Diego Pavia is a delusional idiot that's high off the upset of a powerhouse on the decline. So he takes a shot at Alabama and Vanderbilt at the same time.
That boy Bennett.
Bennett gets
called y'all slipping.
He gets it. He's like, okay, oh man, all right, dude. Take that one personal. I'm just kidding. That's a good text. That's a good text there, Bennett. Hope you have a good day at school, buddy. We have let's see, someone else chiming in about Matthews, the wide receiver, saying Auburn's going to get a top 20 recruit today. Well, we will absolutely see that. That would be big time for them. No doubt about it. Brandon chimes in and says, do you think Deuce Knight will get any snaps in the first couple of weeks regardless of Arnold's play? I mean, I guess, but I mean, it would be in garbage time if Auburn's, absolutely smoking somebody. But I feel like with it being Jackson Arnold's first year in the offense, you kind of probably want to give him as many live reps as possible. So I wouldn't be banking on that necessarily. Let's see. Someone says, yes, Auburn's doing things the right way, coming from the always morally high Hugh Freeze. Yeah. You are going to have some people that feel that way. Let's see. So this is D Money. He says, good morning, boys. I'm a longtime listener. Finally wanted to chime in. So this, I kind of said this jokingly yesterday. This was like a really spicy hot take that I had in Pat Ponders. But Pat asked the question of, will Brian Kelly be back in Baton Rouge next year? And I said, yeah, he'll be there. Even if they, don't make the playoff, I think he'll be back. But I said, this is my really hot, spicy take. And D Money says he approves of it. I said, what if Missouri wins 10 games again this year? LSU wins 8 games this year. They fire Brian Kelly and they go and hire Eli Drinkwitz.
I don't think that's bad.
And D Money says if Brian Kelly doesn't make the playoffs, I think that's spot on with Eli Drinkwitz. His personality would fit perfectly in Baton Rouge, as much as I may hate to admit it.
He'd turn up. Like, he would have a good time.
Yep.
Yeah. That would be fun. That would be fun to see.
Yeah, let's see. Antoine chiming in. He says Auburn's a puddle program and will always be a puddle program. I don't know. What is a puddle program? I don't know about that. Alan says, no. We're not entertaining the pro throw comparisons. Get back to me when we have a catch behind the bag. Something about what Don said. The suit, Ryan Haney, chimes in. This is a good point. He says, I wouldn't doubt Archie Manning. Peyton and Eli followed the same game plan and path, and it worked out well for them. It's a good point. I don't think anybody thought Peyton was coming back, but he did. So we will have to wait and see. But appreciate y'all being with us. We're back Monday at 6 a.m., but next